edition of T-Limbs Presents The Bridge, a place where your voice can be heard. We want to thank your family for joining our family, and we appreciate your input. So again, you know, I always say, put your brick in the foundation because it's for you and it's about you. I don't have my mirror today, but I'm talking about you. But anyway, y'all know who I'm talking about. But we have a new and dynamic show ahead for you where we have Miss Siobhan Davis, the young lady sitting to my left, which will be your right. I know you'll probably say, Twyla changed, but, but Twyla's not here today. Twyla is on location, and I'll give you that guy's location. See, we're not just about talking it, we walk it. So she's out there beating the bush to try to get things done, but right now she's at Pleasant Hope Baptist Church in Baltimore, and it's a justice walking meeting, and it has to do with recovery, aka reparations, but we're calling it recovery. And she's there with John Cheeks and Claude Anderson. As you know, John Cheeks was on our third podcast. So if you want to know what that is about, check our third podcast, because you know something, again, it's for you, and it's very important that you get involved in this thing. Now, having said all that, hey, Twyla.
Hey, Twyla.
Keep it up.
What's
up you know what I mean?
Keep up the good work.
So, again, let me introduce our distinct panel. And you know something, we go through this week after week. Y'all should know us by now. If you don't, turn on your doggone TV and subscribe, or whatever the case may be. But, you know, Teresa, I'm Sean. This is our guest,
Miss Siobhan
Davis.
I'm Siobhan Davis.
This is Siobhan Davis, and of course you know my little brother right over there. You know something, Jermaine. I was gonna do this just for Jermaine.
Here we go.
Look at this. Can y'all see these?
And I didn't bring him today.
And then he didn't bring them, so we was gonna be bookends. Actually, Teresa was gonna be a bookend. Well, she was gonna be the book. But anyway, okay, this is for you, little bro. So we want to send a shout out to Francis. What's up, Fran?
Yes.
Always with us. We want to say send a shout out to our gurus, Ron and Reggie. They're the two cats that make this work. And also, you know something, Teresa and I just got off Coach's show. Thank you, Coach.
Awesome show.
For having us. You know, it was really inspirational and got us fired up and whatnot. But again, I can't wait to get to Miss Davis, because she has some information that's very important for you guys. And again, like I said, we want you to subscribe, and we want you to be involved in this. Teresa, you want to share a little bit about the last hour we just experienced?
Well, we just came off of a show with Coach Don Jenkins, and I mean, this is a powerful, powerful man of God. And he just really spoke into our lives. We talked about partnerships and what it takes to become partners.
And relationships.
And having that right relationship with God. And once you have that, it transform to others and
all aspects of your life. And you know something, Teresa, we were talking about, you know, unifying and coming together for one common cause. You know something, check your ego at the door.
Yes.
You may not like how we go about it, or we'll get to your agenda, but we need to come together for a common cause.
Yes.
And all of us be, you know, direct that energy towards, you know, achieving that initial goal.
Yes.
And then once we get that, then we can spring off or work on your project or whatever it is that it is. But collectively, we all still need to come together as one. And again,
it was a powerful meeting. And what I like is that's what Connect to the Bridge and the Bridge is about. Our goal really is to connect to one another, to learn from another, learning from each other in order to move forward. And there's so much wrong that we see daily in the world, but what we need to focus in on is what we linking together, like you did the link last week and tying, what we can do together collectively to help all of the things, all of this adversity and social ills and problems that we see.
You know something? They had made mention that in the year 2035, I think it is, or 2055, the black dollar will be irrelevant, and we can't let that happen. You know something? Now, Twyla was at an event. See, I
in
told
what
you.
sense, though? In what sense? You said the black dollar will be.
Well, you know something. Economically, as the ladder and as where we are projected, we're not even on the ladder.
Okay, I got you.
You see what I mean?
Not
And
in
again,
terms of what we spend, because our spending power will always be available. Because we
well, of course,
consume.
but okay, let's say our spending power is there and will always be there.
We don't,
but ownership, you know what I mean?
Okay, I got
now,
you. Right,
like I said, Twyla was out yesterday at another event. She's beating these bushes. We need y'all to get involved in this, especially you young people, because it's like I said, 2055. You guys are going to be us.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So you guys need to get involved now to make these changes for later on, and even for your children. But as I said, you know, so we don't just talk it, we be about it. So, but like I said, she went through this one area where it was a strip mall. And it was a Hispanic strip mall, and they had the hairdresser, the nail place, the grocery store, this and that, things that would support their community.
Right.
And the patrons were of their, descent. And so they were supporting
one another.
That strip mall. Right. And to the point now, and then I'm sure y'all know that, okay, not only did they have the little strip mall, now they have a neighborhood. And then they're going to expand. That used to be us. We need to get back to that. Excuse me. And we need to support each other in our endeavors. The people that's on the Vox Wave, if you have a program, support each other. We have to do it now. The time is now, like we were talking with the coach.
Yeah.
The time is now, and we need to be involved, all of us collectively, so we can make this happen.
Right.
I mean, we got to do it.
Well, that's an interesting lead-in, because what you guys don't know is that we've known each other since it doesn't even matter. We've known each other since we were kids, like literally little kids
playing cars on the steps.
Oh,
maybe
that's so cool.
5 or 6. So, like what she's doing is very impactful, and I think the awareness needs to be heightened, so to speak. But also her event, for which she's built from bottom up, all by herself.
Yes.
Wow.
From the very beginning, like it should be promoted. It should be on front stage. So,
well, before we get to speak with Siobhan, one of the questions I want to ask before we get into that is to make sure that if you have an event that you want promoted, or if you have something out there that you're doing, please send us an email, connecttothebridge.com, so that we can help in that endeavor.
And or at Connect to the Bridge on Instagram.
Yes.
Yeah, Connect to the Bridge.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay. And so we'd like to introduce.
Right.
So you're going to do the honors.
Well, I kind of just broke into that a bit, but as I said, this is Miss Davis. We've known each other a lot of years, and I'm gonna kind of just give her the floor. I think I've said everything I need to say prior to. So.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Siobhan Davis, and again, me and Jermaine has been friends for quite a very long time. Childhood, sandbox, sand, dirt, all of the above.
Good and bad.
Good and bad. And today I'm here to share with you what I've been doing, and it's actually piggyback on some of the things you had just spoke about with regards to the term where you use community.
Right.
And in the community, it's unity, and that's what we lack. And like you stated, with getting our communities back in our neighborhoods, and that's like a big thing, especially with what I do. I know when I first started out, it was let me just backtrack. When I first started out, I started out in roughly 2007, because when I got my son diagnosis for autism, it was a bit perplexed, but when I got his diagnosis, I was given a pamphlet, a brochure. That's it. He was born in 2003, and I got a possible diagnosis in 2006. And I remember when it was mentioned to me about autism, I had no clue about it, had never heard about it, wasn't diverse in it. So I remember when I was speaking with the developmental pediatrician and they came in, and it was really puzzling because I was literally left with a brochure. Wow. I was not left with anything else. So the brochure was really, it was really kind of like stopped. Like, you know, it had just at that particular time, because it was in 2006 and 7, it had what the statistic was and things like that. It had nothing else. So for me, that's all I was left with. I went home. I remember going home that day and completely not knowing what to do, where to turn to. And now, you know, social media is more prevalent, and also hearing more about autism and things, period, is more prevalent than it was back then. You have more information. Back then it wasn't. It was lack thereof. Wow. And the pamphlet itself it literally gave me no direction, no anything. So I took the pamphlet and I went home and I went on Google. Google was very frightening because it was very misleading. And at that time, that's all I had to rely on. I didn't have any other information. So I remember going into the community, trying to Google things and find out what I can find out in my community, because most of the resources and parent chat group was in the Northern Virginia area, far in Bethesda, and I just wanted something a little bit closer. So I went through a rough spot because of the lack thereof information I had. So after literally months and months of not having informative information, I myself reached out to a Bethesda group to get some type of, I would say, parent chat group information so that I'll be able to speak with parents. Because again, I reached out to Children's Hospital, which they were the one who gave me the diagnosis, but the only thing they were giving me was another brochure. And this one was a little bit more unsettling because of the things that I was told my son wouldn't be able to do. And I'm a first-time parent. That was my first child, only child still is, and it was a bit scary. So I had to literally take that lack thereof information and be the change I wanted to see.
That's amazing.
All right.
Well, what I wanted to find out from you, Siobhan, is really what is autism? How is it defined?
Okay, so autism is defined a different thing, but it's a developmental neuro condition. I don't want to say disease because, you know, when you say disease, it leads to other things. And it affects your frontal lobe and different parts of the brain. Now, far as getting a bit deep, it gets more into it gets insensitive and very personal when you talk about the causes and what possibly linked to it, because it's so many different opinions. Autism,
and the spectrum is so wide.
Yeah, the spectrum is definitely wide, but autism itself, there's no cure as of yet, and they don't know the cause. So a lot of times when I speak about autism, I'm very cautious on what I say because it is controversial, especially with, as time went on, we learned more about vaccines, vaccination, the what ifs, the myths, other people's opinions and things like that. It's just one of those things that get very personable and very touchy, sort of like the politics part. And you know,
it is politics because it is politics.
Yeah, a lot politics. Definitely a lot politics.
A lot. As you said, they don't know. Let's say how a person. There's different ways that they say, and then too, we've just found out here recently that, you know, something with the commercials, medical. And so now that's a whole different genre that they probably really don't want to talk about because that could be one of the causes. You know what I mean? So again, like with yourself, knowledge, and I'm not going to say it's something new, but it's kind of new. But they gave you a pamphlet and said, "Here you go." You know what I mean?
Yes, especially for ASD, autism spectrum disorder. It is a spectrum, and the statistics says no two children with autism, say not even children. So for you to give me a pamphlet and I'm supposed to take from that, no sitting down, no counseling, not even somewhere to go to speak with other parents, no outlet, no resources.
And can you add to that your son is
to add to my situation, that's a lot different, and I want to be very clear. My son situation is completely different. My son was born deaf.
Wow.
On top of being diagnosed with autism roughly at the age of 3. Now, it took a long time to get his autism diagnosis because my son was given a testing that is stopped, and the testing is for hearing children. And my son is 15 years old now, and the testing is still the same for hearing children.
Wow.
So I was in a limp in trying to get a diagnosis, and a lot of times, you know, now I have to fight even after this length of time, and autism is a bit prevalent now. I feel like you have infomercials, you have Tony Braxton, PSA, you have Jenny McCarthy. You also have a few basketball players that will wear the autism logo. It's a lot. You hear about it more than you did back then.
Right.
And for me, my son is on the spectrum where it's puzzling. It's even more, and they use the puzzle piece to describe a lot of that. But my son is not a child who typically children with autism have deaf-like tendencies. My son is actually deaf. So it's a complete different when you have someone who's on a spectrum who is nonverbal, because a lot of the children are that is on the spectrum, different parts, because you have different forms of autism. You have severely, you have moderate, you have Asperger's, savant, you have PDD-NOS, which was the diagnosis I was given. It was pervasive developmental disorder, not otherwise specified. It's just a medical term to say we really don't know what's going on, but we're going to give her something.
This big long name that you know nobody can pronounce. Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So they pretty much left me with that, PDD-NOS, and then they did let me know because he is deaf, they were not able to get a clear diagnosis.
Yeah. Well, I want to know when you found all this out as a parent, what was your first response to all of this information? I mean, how were you feeling? Just for other parents out there who may have just gotten that diagnosis for their child, what was it just kind of swirling through your head that you wanted to know? And whatnot. What was really going on with you? Okay, for me, a lot of people say they don't think I went through a denial stage. I feel like I did, but I think that it's levels to denial. For me, it wasn't a matter of me not believing. It was just a matter of, if you're telling me that my son is not and will not be able to do these things, that's where the denial kicked in. He's going to. And if you say in return that he needs therapy 6 days a week, he's getting therapy 6 days in a week, and then I'm going to reach out otherwise and have in-home therapy to double it, because I'm not going to take, he's not going to do that. So I believe I did suffer through denial, but I think that my denial was proactive because I didn't want to believe that he wouldn't be able to. So if they said he needed whatever it is they told me he needed, I doubled on.
Let me ask you this too, in that reference, because you know something, again, yes, the focus is on the child, but there's some psychological things that the parent, go through, and you have your self-doubt and you ask them questions why, and is there counseling out there for more? A pamphlet's not going to tell.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
This was my thought process with coming to her, with coming on the show. Like, a lot of people disregard the parent or the guardian in the situation, because, like she just said, that when she first found out, all they gave us was a pamphlet. So in that time, you probably need someone else to lean on, and and she's awesome. She has so much information in reference to, getting aware, her event, like helping one another, as we just said. What it's about is building, connecting the dots. So why not? We publicize and promote so many other things that don't matter. On a daily basis.
That's true.
For no reason.
Right.
Therefore,
right.
Why not try to help somebody else for something that actually is good, a good cause to somebody else. So,
and just hearing you say that, it's just making me go back, because I was young. I was still in college, and I was 21. And just hearing you say that, I find myself, when I do parent support groups and chat groups, I hear a lot of parents not having that support, but for me, luckily, just hearing you use that word community. We grew up in a community. Right. My grandmother lived there, raised my parents, my mom in the same house.
Her
so
grandmother was my grandmother.
Yeah, so she was the grandmother in the neighborhood. So for me, luckily, to have such a big family, such a down south grandmother who was big on family, and you know, down south, we raise our children. You know, it was never an option. I remember years ago when it was asked, and I was very offended about, you know, possibly giving my son up, or, you know, they have residential facilities for where I would sign my right over. And I just was very, it was unsettling for me, but then again, it's a culture thing, like you stated.
Right.
It's a culture thing. We raise our children. We don't find an outlet. The outlet is village, and that's what I luckily had. You know, like I stated, we grew up together. My grandmother she raised her children on the same street. So I had such support. The community, everyone else who lived around there, who knew my grandmother, who watched me grow up, everyone was so supportive. And for me, it was more of I literally can say that I had a village.
Wow. In regards to getting your support, and I'm going to play the black-white card, you know, you had to go way to Bethesda to get any kind of information where in our communities there was no. You know, and so you were just like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? So did you find that, I'm making it a black-white issue, white folks, black folks, that's what Twyla, but you know, so I'm gonna put it just like it is. Right, black folks, white folks. So in the white neighborhoods, y'all had programs, you had this and you had that. I bet they got more than a pamphlet.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They sat down with counselors.
I got informed.
Right.
Being out Bethesda, I did get informed. But this is where it's going to get uncomfortable. And and I completely agree. And when I went to Bethesda, I was given so much information. Very encouraging information. At first, I didn't think I would be able to relate. I was the only African American woman in there. But at that point, it wasn't about color. It was about parenting and mothering.
Right.
And they accepted me and warm, and they were really eager because my son was the youngest. Wow. They were so eager to help me get information to the point that it was one young lady from mom from Northern Virginia. I learned so much in one parent chat group. Now, doubling back to not having it in our community, I was trying to fight for that. That is one of the reasons why we started Awesome Action Autism Awareness. And we went to door to door, me and my best friend, because of the lack of information I had. I just only could imagine other people prior to me and after me who would possibly get this diagnosis and have nowhere to go far as getting information. Luckily, again, I had so much of a support, everything from his pediatrician, who is African American. She gave me all the resources and sent me out to try to help me. But doubling back on the support in our community, I definitely agree it was a lack. We didn't have the information that's needed. Now, moving forward, when we started to do, because we did our own parent chat groups in DC, we called all parents, even again, my son's pediatrician has been so involved, like literally she's became a family member and doing so much. She even allowed me to do parent chat groups in her office.
Wow.
She extended wellness when you talk about us not having that. She extended wellness more so for the moms being able to have a mental outlet and things like that. Yeah. This is where it's going to get touchy. Oh, yeah. Outside of a very, very good friend of mine who was in the mix of having an early diagnosis for her twins, she came. Another friend of mine from a church who came. Outside of about 4 family friends, no one came. Our community didn't come, and we did it again 4 more times, and the outreach, it was to no avail. No one came, no one showed up. Now, here's the thing. When she did have just like a outreach and, you know, just doing a revamp of her practice to broaden out to our community and had Chick-fil-A come, the line was wrapped around the corner, though. The line was wrapped around the community.
Chicken.
So for me, well, you know, I should have had some chicken. I didn't think about that part.
I'll let her finish, but I have an opinion.
Yeah, but for me, and I see this so much, and I know that they are going to let me have it, but we have to live in our truth in order to have the change.
That's true.
And we want we want the help, but we're not willing to do the footwork for it. We're not willing to even show up. And that's the part. We're not, we're at this point, she wasn't asking you to do footwork. She just asked you to show it and be available so that she can help get the resources in the community, because she's a doctor and she's in an urban area where she's trying to pull that area together for wellness, because it was a wellness center and a private office. So they were not, no one was coming.
Well, you know something, I don't know your neighborhood, but I see a lot of people are into that. You said something about grandmothers, and a lot of our teachings we get from our grandparents and whatnot. But see, you know, something back in their day, they used to hide you down the basement.
Oh, yeah.
Or when company came over. You know what I mean? So a lot of them still had that mentality. You know, I mean, just because they may suffer from some doesn't mean that they can't learn.
Right.
You know, and be viable. So again, lack of knowledge make us, you know, ignorant.
But hold on.
And embarrassed, because I think a lot of parents with me reaching out to our community, I encounter a large amount of young females who were ashamed, and I know they were very ashamed. And you are correct. I think lack of information, because if I went from that pamphlet and believed all those things, I don't know what I don't know where I would have done or how I would have felt about it, but I was just determined, like this.
It influenced your thought process.
It has to be more.
So this is true. Information, knowledge is power.
True.
Knowledge is not given. Understand the difference.
Oh, well.
So hold on. Investment of time. Where you invest your time shows what's important. Now, I'm not judging, like she just said. I'm sure this is not going to play out well. But at the end of the day, like, I didn't even get pamphlets for my kids, and they aren't autistic, but I don't always have the answers. But you know what I have to do in realizing my children are all different? I have to invest the time to figure out what each of them need, instead of, well, they need what I give them, and you're just going to take it because I'm the parent.
Yes.
And what happens when you do that is these kids grow up, and we see what the result is.
Yes.
They go where they want to go because they're not directed. It's no parenting.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a good
so
point.
when you're talking about what she did, she was not going to take what they said, and she went the extra mile to invest the time to figure out what's going on. Because the average, I'm sorry, I'm not going to take the average thing out. Just what happens a lot of the times is they'll take the pamphlet and maybe not even read the pamphlet, honestly, and just accept it as it is until somebody gives them some information via social media or can you help, like you're waiting for, and when it comes to our children, we need to invest, we need to put the effort in to invest the time to get them what they need long term.
The parent, and like we were talking last week, as you know something, everybody can't learn A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They might learn it a different teaching method.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
But parents are so, this generation of parents, it's just like this combination of, well, listen, if I'm not happy, then how can my kid be happy? And I'm like, I don't think that's how it works. Like whether you happy or not.
Right.
They need you, not the opposite way around.
Exactly.
And so many people, especially in my generation, they have kids for the sake of having something that will love them back.
That's a good point.
Versus poor.
That's kind of sad. I mean, now
sad or not, it's reality.
But okay, I understand. Now, Javon, now let's say, for instance, I'm using you as an example, not to put you on the spot or nothing, but anyway, the love that you showered upon your son, you can tell the difference in his development.
Yes.
You know, versus put him in the back room.
And we talked about this just recently because she informed me of something I didn't know, because, you know, most autistic kids aren't real affectionate.
And my son is very affectionate. I remember, again, and let me just say this for anyone who is getting any diagnosis, Google is not considered just information. You have to go out there. You have to ask questions when you're at these doctor's appointments. And if you don't understand, then that is okay. That is when you need to take the time. If the doctor's too busy, then you go up to the front and say, listen, it's some things that I'm not sure if I get and understand, and I need this one-on-one. Even if you have to get emails and come in and stay after a doctor's appointment to be able to sit one-on-one with your doctors, I think that matters. For me, Google can be very misleading. And that's the scary part. And I think that people feel like right now you can say one thing and they'll say, oh, I'm going to Google it. That is not informative information.
It's so vast.
Yeah, exactly. Hands-on, I think, for me is being in the community, speaking to other parents and things like that. And just when me and Jermaine was talking about, far as that, I don't know. It just was different for me. My son, I was told one point with him being deaf that he would lose his voice. So before I even got to the autism diagnosis, I was already afraid that at one point he's giggling, he's cooing, I can hear his voice, that it's going to be a time where this boy is going to smile and nothing is going to come out. So I was already mentally conditioned and worried about that. So when autism hit, it was a blow for me, but it was more so like, no, this is not what's going to happen. When I was told about the emotion part, the lack thereof, I started to see it. And noticed that he wasn't. So what we did is my family, we were loving all up on him. My son is 15 years. I don't think no 15-year-old get more kisses than him. I mean, they say we treat him like a baby. We poured so much love, and this wasn't just, and of course, this is when you take advantage. You take for granted, the things in life. I can't say I love you because he can't hear. And the part of the brain of understanding, now I have to be all hands on. I have to do everything different. I am loving, we're hugging his dad, we're giving his kiss. He has a godfather that is wonderful. I have had such a blessed life to have strong men. My dad, his godfather, his grandfather on his father's side. I have just had such a great support group. Everyone poured so much in my son, just to let him know he was loved. And he started to mimic, and a lot of kids with autism, they repetitive, they do things, and we started to notice that he will hug you, he will embrace, and he is very affectionate. People are very shocked when they see how friendly. He's very friendly, and he is very affectionate. He loves to be held, he loves to be hugged, and that was harder for me, how you state far as the diagnosis. When they sat down and said that he was not going to reciprocate or have empathy and love and not understand that, I was not okay with that. It was already hard enough that he couldn't say he loved me.
Yeah.
So for them to say that he wouldn't embrace and hug me, so every day I would make him wrap his arms around me. Wow. And I would let him tolerate it, and when we would go into therapy, they were asking me some of the things I wanted to touch on, and I said, I want him to tolerate, because they have sensory issues, me hugging him. So we would do pressures, and I would smile, and he's deaf, so everything is facial expression. I took everything I could and poured into that because I needed, and like you said, sometimes parents, we need more than a kid. I needed that love as a parent and a first-time mom, and I know he needed it. And I felt like it was a puzzling world. He's not hearing any of these things, and I needed him to be able to understand you are loved. We're saying it, you can't hear it, but we're going to show you. So we did everything to let him know, and he hugs.
Yeah. Love is an action word anyway, but that we can talk about that another day. Go ahead.
Well, one of the things I wanted to bring up, Siobhan, is I'm working with an author right now who has celiac disease.
Okay.
And celiac disease is an inability to absorb nutrients. So they call it a malabsorption disease. Well, come to find out, there's this famous doctor named Dr. Fasano who actually did a study on celiac disease, and he found that a lot of autism, a lot of what we call some of them are autoimmune diseases, diabetes, lupus. It's a number of these diseases where the underlying cause is diet. And I know diet is one of the issues, and I know Jenny McCarthy got in a lot of trouble when she talked about vaccinations with autism. Do you want to speak a little bit on that? And
both. Definitely. Okay. Let's touch on, like you stated, with the diet.
Okay.
My son has feeding issues. So if I was to show you a picture of him, he is now, and I would say he started roughly 2 years ago, finally eating foods. And he's this is a little boy who's never had a G2 feeding tube. And he was able to thrive and function and be healthy without that. Now, this is a child who at 10 months had a procedure done supposed to be a simple procedure, MRI and a CT scan, and he's 10 months. You got to stay very still. And at the time, they gave him a sedation med, and they gave it to him, and he had an allergic reaction. So he stopped breathing. So that brought all other medical issues, and we started to have dietary issues after that. Now, going to the vaccine, and me and Jermaine had this conversation. This is when everything comes full force. The things that they say to you as a child. This is why children shouldn't have children. I knew nothing about vaccine. I didn't even know the dangers. I didn't even know if it was an option. So me being 21,
you have to take, that's what you
pregnant, and not even knowing, when I have this child, this is optional, or what it is, or what the mercury is in some vaccines. If I had known then what I know now, my son would not have gotten vaccinated. I saw a change in him after roughly around his 12 months, about his 1 year. I remember when he had gotten his vaccination, and he had gotten sick. He had a fever, and I had called up in regards to it, and the lady was saying, it's common for children to get fevers and things of sort. So after maybe 2 or 3 days, my mother was like, look, yeah, it's common, like 24 hours to 48, but not, so she said, okay, if he continues to have a fever after 24 to 48 hours, that's not normal just for, vaccination. So I had called up there. It's 3 days, my baby has a fever. We go up there, they don't know what's going on. They checked him for sickle cell. They checked him for so much. We had the health department come. They checked my son for everything. They did not find out what was going on. Everything literally declined. My son, mind you, he was born deaf. He was signing. It's different when you have a child that's born deaf. Children coo and babble with their mouth. He does it with his hands. So he was signed. He had, at that time, he was 10 months. When he wanted milk, he would sign milk to me. And he would do that. Look. It's designed, and babies come out designed saying dad, because he was saying dad first. So it's just something against the mamas. He came out.
No, it's not against the mamas.
He came out. His first word was dad as well, and he would say more. He would say these signs. So after that vaccine, it literally he was infantile. He went backwards to the point he was having baby age appropriate baby foods and everything hot, to the point that when you gave him milk with cereal in it, he was vomiting. We had to get GI study testing done. Then these were testing that had happened when he was roughly 1, that went all the way up to he was 7 years old. Wow.
So did they ever link it to the vaccinations?
Well, what happened, they when they gave me the autism diagnosis, it was once you get, it's like a label. Once they get that label, they really don't care about the history leading up to it. They just, once you get that label, it's pretty much signed, sealed, and that's it. And once I got the label, it really didn't matter what was the cause or anything, because I asked that. Well, what causes it? What was going on? I went full term, no complications, first child, only child. So I didn't know. I didn't smoke. I didn't drink. I was still young. So went to all of my appointments. I really didn't have any understanding. They did not know. And here's the thing. The developmental pediatrician told me they don't know what causes autism.
Well, they don't know, but I'm a researcher by nature.
But they're not going to say that.
And I tend to research everything. One of the things that has come out in that research is that the vaccines that they're doing now have a more adverse effect on African American kids. It's actual research that has come out.
So listen, hold on. So what she's saying, right? So we had this conversation. We were talking about this, and I told her, I don't let my kids get this. She said, "Did you know that beforehand, or you just started?" I was like, to be honest with you, I overheard something somewhere at some point that sparked me to start looking into it. And I was actually in the doctor's office and heard, I guess it was a parent, whoever it was, I heard him talking about how the shots, you need to read the pamphlets and different things and different. I was like, okay, because I never read the pamphlets.
Right.
And I think my kids had to be really young at this point, like maybe 2 or 3. You read the pamphlets and then you read certain things. It's like, let me look a little bit more into this. And then when you start to see that they combine in the shots, and
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
At the time, I didn't.
They combined some of the vaccines so that they cut down on the number of shots they have to give the kids. But when they combining these, like, you don't actually know what exactly.
And kids don't get chicken pox anymore. I remember having chicken pox.
Listen to what I'm telling you. So something along the line, something changed. So I did not know, like you said, I didn't know.
Right.
When having kids, it's not like I was prepared. It just so happens that, like, I'm a researcher.
Right.
I stumbled across or heard something that sparked a thought.
Right.
But as parents, these are the things that we should know, because what we're doing is putting our children at risk. They're basically test studying our children without us knowing it.
Oh, absolutely.
And like you say, our community, the information, the awareness, holistic care, everything, all the stuff that I know about now, I didn't know about.
Right. And so it's so important for us, and I believe in, having God on your side and just intuitively knowing things. But it's also important to, like you said, research, learn. If you don't know something, search it out. If you, like you said, if the doctor doesn't have time, stay a little later, do whatever it is that you can. Now, before we go on, Siobhan, I want you really to talk about your event and your gala, because we could go on and on.
Yes.
So you... Okay.
You don't need a card.
Books.
Okay, well,
start with this.
Okay, in front of us is a few books from the previous events I have. Every year in April for World Autism Awareness Month, I hold an event in the DC area for the community to bring more awareness, acceptance for autism, and inclusion, because a lot of children with autism, we have somewhat of the awareness here now. Now we have to incorporate the inclusion and definitely, again, the information and the understanding, the education for it. So I started with a friend of mine who I'm sorry is now we started Party for a Purpose, because what other way to get people together than to do it in an environment of partying. So we wanted to do a Party for a Purpose, and the purpose, of course, would be in hopes of a cure autism. So we have every year in April, we hold a day party, because we don't want to get the misconception of an actual club thing, because we are definitely here to deliver a message. So these are a few books from our previous event, and this is this is our gala we held, and this is just showing different parts and different things of different forms of blue. Every year we go blue, of course, and inclusion and also acceptance of Autism Awareness Month. So it's not just DC, it is globally, nationally, across the world, Dubai, India, Tokyo, everyone will be going blue starting April the 2nd every year. And these are other books from previous years that we did, Lighted Up Blue, and now we do Lit by Love, the little quote things that the young people use. So this year we're holding our 7th annual event, and this year it is going to be a masquerade theme, and I piggyback off of the Mask Up for Autism, and it will be a soiree, and I'm hoping that everyone come out and support. We'll have guest speakers, pediatrician, developmental pediatrician, resources, everything. And our goal this year is to get as many parents, what you were mentioning about with regards to self-care. A lot of parents don't have the support and the community input and everything like that, and have family members in the area. So our plan this year is to get as many respite care into the home. So the parents will be able to have outlets and be able to do things if it's something as small as maybe going out for an hour or two. So our plan is to get trained professionals into the homes to help the parents, so that the parent can either go out for a day or two, or go out for a couple of hours, or just go out and get pampered, whatever it is. So that is one of our main focus, and our another focus is to get communication devices to the children so they'll be better able to communicate when they're not with their family or peers. So this is my event, and it is called Awesome Ashton Autism Awareness.
Siobhan, do you have a website or give them,
yes. Okay, so currently our website is down for maintenance, but you can follow us on Instagram at AwesomeAshton_KD. So that is AwesomeAshton_KD.
Okay. Well, that was beautiful. And the one thing I love about you is you're clearly, not only because things happened to your son, but you could have just kind of stayed and just dealt inwardly with your son. But I love the fact that your purpose and your passion is helping others now that you've discovered. Can you speak a little bit more on that?
Yes, again, like I stated, with having such a supportive and big family, I had that support, and going into the communities and hearing other parents that don't have that support is very important. I think that helps a lot, what you stated with healthcare, mental health, taking care of yourself and the lack thereof. And I think a lot of parents are not able to. So I felt it was very important with me knowing that I had all this support to be able to pour it back out into the same community that supported and lifted me up, because it literally was a village in my neighborhood. And to let parents know that you're not alone. And in doing so, I wanted to be more hands-on. I just didn't want to say, you are not alone. I wanted to kind of be out there more and let them see a face, a friendly face, see someone that looks like you. And, many times these commercials, they don't look like us, and the children don't look like our children. So I felt that it was a very dire need for me to get in my community and be, like I stated before, the change that I wish to see. So that was my hope.
Very good. But to give her some credit real quick, like not only does she does it with a smile. Like this is,
I love,
and that's not take that for granted, because this, as parents, we all understand, just to see our children with codes.
Let me just slide this in here, and let me just say this. We have been able to successfully, and we do the autism walk as well, we have been able to raise $20,000 successfully. No media outlet, no sponsorship, no anything.
Exactly.
This is literally everyone coming together, my family, my friends. I just wanted to definitely thank them. I have so many family and friends who take off from work, they go out here, we do lemonade stands, we do bake sales, and these are people who don't have children with autism, and they have poured so much into me. My good friends that have done so much. We have people that come all over. I have girlfriends who own their own business, and literally their livelihood depends on them opening and closing their business. They will close their business to come to these events. They will donate. They will literally go out there. We did a fire. We went to the fire company, and I think it was a fire station in Largo, and we passed out things. And these were community. These were everyone coming together for a purposeful cause.
And we will have slight footage, because I'm getting my ticket today, to make sure that we have information, and we can touch back on this in a couple of weeks.
Definitely get your tickets. It is via Eventbrite. You can find it there. Mask Up for Autism. It is definitely a purposeful, meaningful event, live entertainment, hors d'oeuvres, everything. It is very informative, and parents be able to get out for a night, enjoy yourself, and get information in the same token. So I hope everyone.
It's for a positive cause, so please do attend. Again, the more people that know, the more that we can get it out there, the more that we can combat and have an avenue to fight this. You know what I mean? And so please support, and one more time, support.
Right. And so, Siobhan, before we do the walk, I wanted to ask, tell us about the blue and the puzzle pieces.
Okay. So I wanted to mention the blue. You see me wearing blue, and in the books they have, all of the books they have blue. So the purpose of the blue is the statistic amount of boys who have autism than girls. So the whole purpose is shedding a light. And instead of just using any light, we use a blue light to represent. So for the month of April, starting April the 2nd, all month, we go blue for autism. So we're rocking blue hair, nails, everything. And the puzzle piece is a ribbon that represents more so the puzzling effect, as we mentioned before early on with autism. The spectrum is very perplex, and the effects and the reasoning and the causes is so unknown. It's still puzzling. Everything from no child is the same, even if they're twins and things like that. It's still, the puzzle represents all of those things. So the multicolor ribbon represents also the perplexity of it, and it's sort of like putting the pieces together to be able to find not only a cure, but the cause of it, because we can't find a cure unless we find out what causes it. So.
Right, and I would encourage each of you out there, when it comes to autism and any other crippling we don't want to use the word disease. What's the word?
I would say inability or disability.
Disability.
Is definitely disability.
But we really need to research, and this comes down to really knowing, like you said, about the vaccination. There's a lot of stuff that happens in our community, and unfortunately, 10 and 15 years later, you find out, oh, this happened, and this they knew that it was going to hurt young African American males disproportionately, and some of this stuff is not done on
it's not accidental. It's purposely done.
And so as a result, it is important to be informed and to research. But more importantly, Siobhan, we really thank you for coming, speaking with us today. Please support her event. It's only $40. Yes. And just looking at these beautiful books and pictures, I mean, these events they're awesome. Done very, very well.
Thank you. Everyone that comes to the event gets a custom bracelet that says Awesome Extra Autism Awareness, the ribbon, and things. It's just like so many gifts.
And
so
amazingly, every year it's gotten better.
Yes, it's getting better.
Very good. Very good.
And again, this is an event. Our community come together. Me and my husband and my family and friends, we fund 100%. No media outlet, no sponsorship, anything. We fund these events, and our gala had a 5-course meal, and everyone enjoyed itself. So please, please come out, to help make this event bigger and broader, to put the word out there. So I hope everyone can come out.
Yes, and on that note, okay, y'all support the yellow ribbon, y'all support the pink ribbon, y'all support
Nike, just do it.
y'all support all them other kind of dang old ribbons. So support this ribbon.
Right,
I mean, it's a worthwhile cause. Yes. Again, because it affects our future. It affects our children. And we have to be involved. Let's get back to that village living. Yes. I mean, not a hut, but let's get back to that village living, and where we take care of each other.
Yes.
And we come together. Like I said, so we are losing our communities, and man, like I said, it doesn't make sense. And case in point, it doesn't make sense for us to go out to Bethesda for an earache.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, again,
yes. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because guess what? My son goes to Johns Hopkins. I would love to be able to go in my community and get all the care he needs. At one point, we were going to 4 different hospitals for care. I'm now driving 3 times a week, which was at first 5 times a week, out Johns Hopkins and Kennedy Krieger in Baltimore in order for him to get the appropriate and best care. And it would be so much easier to have it in our community. And I get it all the time. You ride out there, I have no other choice. I would love to get it in my community.
You black doctors, come give something back. Golly. Yes. I mean, you know what I mean? Do something in the community. You wouldn't imagine the euphoric feel that you, by giving something back to a community, not just helping one, but helping a community to survive. So again,
let me jump in real quick.
Unity and community, so they got to get that part. Order, inclusion, unity, everything. You can't spell community without unity. Amen. So we need unity.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's
Jermaine.
Good.
Okay.
All right, don't. All right, he gonna pull on this black glove, black power.
Look, I'm about to say it like it needs to be said.
So, when I got out of college, and I was teaching, and one of the things I learned teaching kindergarten, right? Parents complain. Parents talk a lot about what their child is. It's a lot of things the parents say. But what I realized is, come parent-teacher conference time, any type of little, the little plays and things that the kids do, where are the parents? Where are the parents? So what I'm getting at, right, is I get what you're saying. I get it. Yes, that would be nice. But in order for that to happen, somebody has to first care enough to push the avenue. So if we can band together, and again, this is not going to sound like I want it to, but if we can have candlelight vigils and it's 300 of us for that.
And stand in line for the tennis shoes.
stand in line for phone posits.
Because it's all our people
to keep
that's lined up out there.
Fight to keep the rec centers open so we can go play basketball and ping pong. We gotta do something different.
Yes.
And it's not a judgment because I'm from exactly the same place that I'm referring to. Literally, we both are. So it's not an indictment on anyone. It's not a judgment on anyone. It comes down to, listen, is it more important that we shade our feelings or we take care of our children? And if that's the case, then we got to do something different. We got to invest more time. We got to go the extra mile for them and not for ourselves.
And stop talking, but walk the walk.
Yeah.
When you say walk the walk, it speaks so much volume. For me, it does. Hearing what you say, both of you guys speaking about the community, the black community, black doctors, everything. When you spoke highly about educating yourself and getting out there and knowing. When my son was born deaf, I was at Howard. Roughly before he turned 3, I was taking courses at Gallaudet. Not just to learn sign language, because I did go there. Me and his dad started when he was roughly 5 months to learn sign language. So we went to Gallaudet to get more into ASL, because we didn't know anything about ASL. We don't have any deaf family members. By being there and getting that autism diagnosis, I then started to look into audiology and taking courses, because I needed to know what I was being told, and I needed to know more. So I took that time. Hey, I couldn't go get my nails done. I wasn't making time for the hairdresser and happy hour and things like that. I was over at Gallaudet trying to get as much information that I could get, and I definitely know it helped me. It helped me a lot, being more informed as far as the book, like you said, doing my own research and not just waiting for a pamphlet or something and going by that.
And realistically, what she's saying, again, to translate a bit in that sense, that we understand exactly. We understand exactly who we're talking to, and in that sense, like, understand, again, it's not a judgment. It's just saying that that time has to be invested, because the club, the hairdresser, all this stuff is going to be there when you're done. I promise you. But your child.
That's like the longest and most powerful investment you can ever have.
Absolutely.
Your child. And most importantly, yourself. Because when you said that to me about, the parents getting the counseling and therapy, I sat on that. It resonated a lot. And I've never personally had it, but I'm telling you, like you said, the power of prayer, family, and being in that, I think that's what kept me so lifted and so encouraged, having that. But everyone don't have that. And I did sit with my pastor when my son was born. He prayed over him and everything, and I had those moments where wondering why, but I turned everything into a reason. I don't know what it was, what it is, but everything I can say about my son has brought my community, my family together. So we are even closer than we were before, and I'm thankful.
That's your mission, to get this word out, to teach and to educate the community.
What do we talk about every Sunday? Purpose, right?
Purpose. Exactly. So again, now speaking of walk the walk, your feet must be tired, because I know you. I know you've been walking, just finding out information and things of that nature.
Listen, literally.
She is literally walking.
That's what I'm saying,
man. We were going door to door with newsletters, making our own newsletter.
Matter of fact, talk about your walk. So you doing
the walk every year. We do walk in the fall area. In October, fall time, we'll typically do a walk for autism, and we're about to do one really soon. In April, actually April the 6th, and we're doing a Lit by Love walk to bring more awareness in our community, and just hope people can come out. So.
Very good. Yeah. Well, let Jermaine know, let us know, so we can put it out there, and so we can let you know.
I'm on it.
Teresa.
So we're gonna wrap it up. Siobhan, we
thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate your information. We appreciate your effort. Kudos to you and your husband and what y'all do, and your son. Tell him to keep chugging forward.
Yes.
Teresa?
And so we're going to take it home, but as we mentioned earlier, in terms of partnership, please partner with Siobhan's event. Please support her event, and you'll be hearing from us soon. And so now we are going to take it home.
Run.
No, how's she saying?
Run. Take us home.